In this tutorial, we will look at how to set up question slides inside a Captivate project. In the previous tutorial, we looked at setting up the quiz preferences under the Adobe Captivate preferences options, and that was in order to activate a quiz scenario in the project and also link it to the LMS and also determine what would be a pass or a fail in this quiz environment. So we'll just continue with inserting the question slides and looking at the kinds of questions that could be included in the Captivate project. So recalling, just if you can recall from our last tutorial, we were going to insert our question slides between the penultimate and final slide. And the way in which to do that would be to choose from one of the options in the quiz menu. Now we can insert ordinary question slides, and that would mean that fixed questions would be added to the project, or we could add random question slides, which means that slides would be inserted into the quiz, but they would not hold any questions. They would be linked, they would appear to be blank, but they would be linked to question pools. In other words, pools of questions that would randomly insert questions every time the user reopened that material. We could also make use of the Pretest question slide option, which is basically to allow us to test a user's knowledge or a learner's knowledge before allowing them to proceed with the quiz. So if they had done chapter 1 and they were now in chapter 2, we could check their skills from chapter 1 before they proceeded with the quiz questions in chapter 2. So it's a non-graded pre-test of their knowledge, enabling them to move forward. In this case, we're going to use question slide, and I have prepared some questions for this small demo, and we would basically be requiring 2 multiple choice, 1 true and false, 1 fill in the blank, and 1 sequence slide for this particular demo. Notice that there are many other ways in which to test a user's knowledge, but what is more important right now is the fact that each of these question slides can either be graded or not. So where the questions would be allocating points to that learner, we would have to choose graded as an option. If it was just a survey, in other words, they weren't scoring points for their answers, we were just trying to get information from them, we would use a survey as the grading option. And if it was a pre-test environment, in other words, we're testing their previous knowledge in order for them to continue, we would choose pre-test as our question slide. In this case, we're going to grade all of them. And I would simply say OK to that. Now what it does is it generates and inserts, if you notice, a couple of slides now that are set up according to my ticked options. So I've got my 2 multiple choices, I've got my true and false, I've got my fill in the blank, and I have my range and sequence. So each of these is going to make up my final quiz to the learner. So in order to do this, I just need to activate the slide that I'm starting with, which is my multiple choice slide. And the first multiple choice question I have is, what would proper setup of the projector ensure? So I'm going to just type the question in here. So it's all template based, so I'll just type in here. The correct answer is the audience would have a clear view of your slides. So I'm going to put that in as my first answer. I would then add 2 more possible answers, which would of course be incorrect. So I would say power consumption would be spared, which is incorrect. And the next, another answer would be under my quiz properties, I'd go and put in a 3rd possible answer, and that would be the bulb is powered on correctly. So the answer that has the dot next to it would be recorded as being the correct answer, and because it only gave me 2 possible answers, once that slide was activated, I could go to the quiz properties panel, which becomes active, and change my number of answers to 3, which gave me a 3rd field in which to type my 3rd possible answer. So in this quiz properties section, I'm able to set up that the answers can be shuffled. I'm able to set up if I would allow multiple answers or partial scoring, plus how many points would be allocated to that correct answer. And because I set up that quiz slide as being graded to begin with, it is already set to graded in my quiz properties panel. So I would basically go through each one of my slides, setting up my questions, and then once I'm on my final slide, I would then complete the final slide and then save and test that quiz inside my preview button. So under preview, I'd say preview this project from the slide or the next 5 slides. So I'd say from the slide, and basically test each of those questions and answers to make sure that it's working correctly. Once I was happy with testing it, I would quit and choose File and publish it into its final format. So inserting question slides is very simple to do. You just need to prepare the questions beforehand, set up the quiz preferences under the Captivate Preferences option, insert the question slides, and then slide by slide type in what the questions and answers would be, and then finally test and publish it.